Thank you for tuning in to What in the World is Going On. Today we're going to discuss the impact of a military draft and what it could mean for America's future. As the world faces increasingly complex geopolitical challenges and military tensions flare in various regions, the prospect of a military draft in the United States is a tropical that stirs deep emotions and raises critical questions about the nation's future. A military draft, once a defining aspect of America's history during tumultuous times, could reshape not only the armed forces but also the fabric of society itself. What would it mean for the youth of the day, their families, and the broader community? Would a draft foster a greater sense of national unity and shared responsibility, or would it deepen societal divides? In this post, we will explore the multifaceted implications of reinstating a military draft, examining its potential effects on American values, the economy, and the social landscape. Join us as we navigate this complex issue and consider the enduring legacy of service, sacrifice, and patriotism in shaping America's future. One, we'll discuss the historical context of the military draft in America. To truly understand the potential implications of a military draft in America today, it's essential to explore its historical context. The military draft, or conscription, has played a significant role in shaping American society and its armed forces throughout history. The first federal draft was instituted during the Civil War in 1863 as the Union sought to bolster its ranks against the Confederacy. This initial foray into forced enlistment was met with mixed reactions, revealing deep divisions in public opinion that would resonate in the years to come. The most pronounced use of the draft occurred during World War I and World War II. In both conflicts, the Selective Service Act enabled the government to mobilize millions of men, ultimately fostering a sense of shared sacrifice amongst citizens. The draft during World War II in particular saw over 10 million Americans served, creating a societal shift wherein military service became a rite of passage for many young men. This period also marked increases in the roles of women and minorities within the military, setting the stage for future advancements in civil rights. However, subsequent conflicts, most notably the Vietnam War, brought the draft back into the spotlight, sparking widespread protests and civil disobedience. The inequalities of the draft system, where wealth and privilege could often shield certain individuals from conscription, ignited a national debate about fairness, justice, and the moral implication of forcing service upon citizens. The backlash against the Vietnam draft led to its eventual abolition in 1973, transitioning the U.S. military to an all-volunteer force. Today, as discussions about national security and military readiness resurface, the legacy of the draft looms large. The historical context not only reveals the complexities of conscription, but also serves as a reminder of the societal tensions it can provoke. Understanding this history is critical as we consider what a new military draft might mean for America's future, how it could impact civil engagement, generational divides, and the very fabric of American democracy itself. Potential impacts on American society and values. The reintroduction of a military draft could reverberate throughout American society, potentially reshaping not only the demographic landscape, but also the core values that define the nation. One of the most immediate impacts would be the increased diversity in military ranks, as the draft would pull individuals from various backgrounds, religions, and socioeconomic statuses into service. This blending of experiences could foster a deeper sense of unity as citizens from different walks of life shared a common goal of serving their country. However, this shift could also stir tensions as some segments of the population may feel disproportionately targeted or burdened by the draft compared to others. Moreover, a military draft could challenge traditional notions of patriotism and duty. In an era where voluntary service is seen as a personal choice, a draft might reignite debates about obligation versus freedom. Younger generations, already navigating a complex landscape of political and social ideologies, may grapple with the implication of mandatory service, leading to a reevaluation of what it means to be a responsible citizen. This could manifest in movements advocating for conscientious objection or alternative service routes, underscoring the importance of personal values in the face of national policies. The psychological effects on society could also be profound. A draft might heighten anxieties about the implication of war and the potential for loss as families face the realities of loved ones being called to active duty. This could lead to a cultural shift where discussions about military engagement become more prevalent and personal, forcing communities to confront the human cost of conflict in a way that has perhaps become abstract in an all-volunteer force. Furthermore, the reintroduction of a draft could impact social structures and economic dynamics for individuals from lower income backgrounds. The draft may present a pathway to education and job training that they might not have had access to otherwise. Conversely, it could also exacerbate existing inequalities, as those with the means to evade a draft through educational deferments or financial resources may find themselves increasingly at odds with those who do not have such options. Ultimately, the potential impact of a military draft on American citizens are multifaceted, invoking questions about identity, responsibility, and the very fabric of community. As a nation would navigate these complexities, it would likely lead to a broader dialogue about the values that define America and the sacrifices that individuals are willing or compelled to make in the name of national service. 3, we'll talk about economic consequences of a military draft. The implication of a military draft would bring a myriad of economic consequences, each with the potential to reshape various sectors of American society. Firstly, the immediate impact would be felt in the labor market. As young individuals are called into service, the workforce would experience a significant reduction in available labor, particularly in industries that rely heavily on younger employees. This would lead to labor shortages, driving up wages in certain sectors, thus creating inflationary pressures on the economy. Moreover, the financial burden of a draft could lead to increased government spending. Funding a larger military through a draft would demand a substantial allocation of resources, diverting funds from other critical areas such as education, healthcare, and infrastructure development. This relocation could stifle growth in these sectors, affecting overall productivity and innovation in the economy. On a broader scale, the draft could also impact consumer spending, with a portion of the population engaged in military service. Disposable income could diminish as families adjust to the absence of a wage earner. This could lead to decreased consumer confidence, slowing down economic growth and potentially installing recovery in post-pandemic America. Additionally, the long-term effects of a draft on education could be profound. Young individuals might defer college or vocational training to serve, resulting in a temporary decrease in the nation's skill level. Over time, this could hinder the United States' competitiveness in a global economy that increasingly values advanced skills in education. In essence, while the rationale behind a military draft may stem from national security concerns, the economic ramifications are complex and far-reaching, posing challenges that would require careful consideration and management to mitigate adverse effects on the country's future. Before, we'll talk about the roles of youth and families in a draft scenario. In the event of a military draft, the role of youth and families would become pivotal in shaping the national response and adapting to the profound changes that could ensue. Young Americans, often seen as the backbone of military service, would suddenly find themselves at the forefront of civic duty, facing the realities of enlistment not as a voluntary choice but as an obligation. This transition could foster a new sense of responsibility among the youth, pushing them to grapple with notions of patriotism, sacrifice, and service to their country. Families, on the other hand, could experience a seismic shift in their dynamics. Parents and guardians may find themselves in the emotional throes of pride and worry as they prepare to support their children who may soon be called to serve. Conversations around the dinner table would likely revolve around complex themes such as duty, bravery, and implication of military service, fostering deeper bonds and understanding within families. Moreover, siblings might be inspired or motivated to engage in community service, activism, or even their own military aspirations based on the experiences of an older brother or sister. Additionally, the societal fabric could see changes as families rally around those affected by the draft. Communities might come together to support one another, organizing local initiatives to provide resources for recruits, emotional support for families, and outreach programs for those grappling with the uncertainties of a draft. The role of education would also expand, with schools and youth organizations possibly incorporating discussions on civic duty, military history, and the implications of service into their curricula, thus preparing the next generation for a reality that could reshape their futures. Ultimately, the involvement of youth and families in a draft scenario would be multifaceted, blending personal, emotional, and societal elements. It could necessitate resilience and adaptability as they navigate uncharted waters, fostering a collective spirit of unity and determination amidst the challenges that lie ahead. As America contemplates the potential for a military draft, recognizing the critical role of its youngest citizens and their families will be essential in shaping a response that honors both the sacrifice of service and the importance of it. 5. National unity versus societal divides, a balancing act. The introduction of a military draft often stirs a complex dialogue surrounding national unity and societal divides, representing a unique balance act for America's future. On one hand, a draft could serve as a catalyst for fostering a sense of shared purpose and collective responsibility. The idea of every citizen, regardless of background, contributing to the defense of their country has the potential to unify diverse groups, reminding individuals that they are part of a larger narrative. In this sense, the draft could bridge the gap between differing socioeconomic classes, races, and political ideologies, creating a shared experience that transcends personal differences. However, the prospect of a draft also risks exacerbating existing societal divides. Concerns about fairness and equity could emerge, particularly if certain demographics feel disproportionately targeted, or if there are disparities in how deferments or exemptions are applied. The perception that the burden of service is unevenly distributed could lead to resentment and further popularizations within communities. Additionally, the historical context of conscription in the United States, where marginalized groups have often borne the brunt of military services, raises valid questions about equity and justice in the face of a draft. Ultimately, navigating this balancing act will require open dialogue and thoughtful consideration of the implications of a military draft on American society. Leaders must engage with civilians to address fears and misconceptions while emphasizing the shared responsibility that comes with citizenship. As the nation contemplates the possibility of a draft, it must strive to foster a sense of collective identity that embraces both unity and diversity, ensuring that the values of fairness and inclusiveness remain at the forefront of any discussions about national service. In doing so, America can work toward a future where the call to service strengthen rather than divide its people. Conclusion: preparing for an uncertain future. As we reflect on the potential implication of a military draft, it becomes clear that this topic is not just an abstract concept, but a significant consideration that could shape the future of our nation. The prospect of a draft raises numerous questions about civic responsibility, national security, and the societal fabric of America. In preparing for an uncertain future, it is critical and crucial that we engage in open dialogue about the values we hold dear and the sacrifices we are willing to make in the name of protecting our freedoms. Moreover, the possibility of reintroducing a military draft compels us to consider the broader implications for our youth and their path to adulthood. It serves as a reminder of the importance of fostering a culture of service, whether through military engagement or other forms of community involvement. As we navigate this complex landscape, it is vital to ensure that all voices are heard, that of the servicemen and women who may be called to duty, as well as the families and communities that will be impacted. Ultimately, while the military draft may remain a contentious issue, it is imperative that we remain proactive and informed. By discussing possible scenarios and preparing for a future where a draft could become a reality, we can take steps to ensure that any decisions made reflects the collective will and values of our society. Together, we must advocate for policies that prioritize peace, support our veterans, and honor the sacrifices of those who serve, creating a future that embodies the principles of democracy and unity. If you enjoyed this podcast, please like and subscribe.